Welcome back to the Restaurant Technology Guys podcast. I appreciate everyone out there for joining us. Today, we are talking about an incredible topic at one of the industry's largest events and some of the cool things that they're doing. But I'm going to let our guest talk a little bit more about what she gets to do. Lisa, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience? Who is Lisa Malikow, and and then we'll talk a little bit about what you get to do and the
All right.
cool stuff for the show today.
Well, thank you. So excited to be here. Like you said, my name is Lisa Malikow. I oversee the production of the National Restaurant Association show, which is the largest food service event in the Western Hemisphere. So we cover products all across the board. We say we have 900 different product categories for the show. So if you have any need in a food service establishment, we have some type of solution represented at the show for that. It really is kind of everything from A to Z. And so I've been working on the event for the past 15 years, wearing a variety of hats. Started in the beverage segment, then moved into overseeing really all the logistics and education programming at the show, including our awards programs, the Kitchen Innovation Awards and FABI, which is Food and Beverage Innovations. So just really excited to be able to share what's happening this year in our 2024 event coming up in just 36 days from when we're taping this. So
Yep.
probably a little bit closer from when it gets posted, but just excited. It's like always a great time of year. I actually made a LinkedIn post earlier today or a couple days ago that did a play off the Christmas song. It's the most wonderful time of the year. And I believe that it is for the restaurant industry because it's the time when we can all gather together and really see and taste and hear and learn and help move this great industry forward. That's a
Yeah,
little me.
no, and I'm guessing the majority of our listeners have been to the show before, but if you haven't, it is a must. At a minimum, once in your lifetime, you should go.
Yeah,
But quite frankly, you should figure out a way to go every year if at all possible, because it's as you said. And I had somebody say to me at one point, you can walk into the show having just an idea for a restaurant and walk out of the show with everything you need to open up a restaurant the next
yep.
day, from seating to food to beverage to technology, you name it. The show does offer those opportunities, and it's really a great show. Fantastic energy. It's awesome. Chicago's always a buzz. Trying to get a reservation during that time of that week
Can be a
out at
little
any kind of
hard.
restaurant, a little bit harder for sure. You mentioned, Lisa, the Kitchen Innovation Awards. Why don't you talk a little bit? What is Kitchen Innovation? Tell me a little bit more about that, because again, you guys have a lot going on at the show,
Yep,
and for those that have been to the show but hadn't even realized that there's something that existed, talk to us a little
sure.
bit about where did it come from and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so Kitchen Innovations is our awards program for anything back of house, kitchen equipment, things of that sort. It launched in 2005. So this is our 20th anniversary of this. And the basis for starting Kitchen Innovations to begin with was really about trying to elevate things that were happening in the equipment category at the show. So like I said, we have 900 product categories, but really there's sort of 11 verticals. In the equipment vertical, there are lots of different types of equipment, obviously, anything you need in the back of house kitchen. But what we were trying to show is what's happening next. What's that future oriented piece? And so the way KI was designed was we started working with a panel of expert judges who do not work for the National Restaurant Association or the show's parent company or anything like that. They're third party. They're actual restaurateurs, equipment consultants, people who are specifiers working in the industry every day, looking at equipment. It's like their whole jobs and really allowing them to evaluate the applications of our equipment companies that apply, say they have a really great piece of equipment, say put that stamp of approval on it. So we always like to call them actually award recipients because they're not pitted against each other. But any given year, you could have five different fryers that are all awarded KI awards because each fryer is innovative in its own way and by its own merit. And so it's really just about what's going to advance those goals that the restaurateurs have and the food service operations have, and also what's going to solve problems
Mhm.
or things that people need solutions for. And so the conversations with the judges can be pretty intense. They're pretty fun to just sit on those judges. I don't get to really speak during them because it's really all about the judges' interactions. We just make sure everyone adheres to the sort of rules.
I love it, and it's funny that you bring it up because knowing that we had this episode scheduled I look back at it at my last dozen or so shows, and it's amazing. Future episode will be coming out for I was meeting with the director of operations for Bobby's Burgers, Bobby Flay's restaurant group, and he was
Yep.
talking about they have some grill that makes the burgers perfect every time. And I'm like,
Yep.
I didn't even think know such a thing existed. We were talking to a group that was doing food holding and keeping food at exact temperatures for
Yep.
27 hours and things like that that I just had no idea existed. So I'm excited to jump into some of your guys' spotlight award winners.
Yeah.
The first one that you guys threw on the agenda was the Everpure water solution. Talk to me a little bit about what they did, just because, again, for our listeners out there, one, I'd love for you guys to go, and we'll talk about a code at the end of the show for you guys to get discount offers to get to the show this year. But for those that aren't going to be able to get there or want to go do research before they get to the show, talk to me a little bit about Everpure and what did they do that caused you guys or caused the judges to say this is really something everybody should know about?
Yeah. So I think as they look at ones that really pertain to how to improve the sustainability of a restaurant operations, right? In the back of house and in the kitchen, what the Everpure system does, because it's reverse osmosis, really helps solve that water consumption piece, right? So you are reducing the amount of wasted water in the back of house. And it's a modular system that allows it to be in a bunch of different places, right? It doesn't have as many restrictions in its location and things like that. And so what our judges start to look at is what's the practical application in the kitchen itself. So there's always the piece of how the system actually works and the technology behind the reverse osmosis. But then it's okay, great, that's really cool. But let's say you're installing it in your kitchen. How does that come down to a practical application
What does it
standpoint?
do to what does it do to solve a problem, as you said? It's
Right.
really cool tech for tech's sake, and we talk about it all the time on the show. It's like tech for tech's sake does nothing. Tech
Yeah.
that solves real world problems is awesome. You talked about sustainability, and that's been a hot topic. We've had a
Yep.
guest on the show. You and I were talking before I hit the record button about the team at Restaurant Technologies. They've been doing a lot in the way of sustainability with oil usage, cooking oil usage, and so I guess why is that such a hot topic? Is that kind of what your restaurateurs are looking for? Is it what the consumers are looking for? A little bit of both? Because I
I
think
think
as we're
yeah.
going through the rest of it, there's a lot of sustainability pieces that you guys have been focusing on as a show and really for the reward side.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, but ultimately, I think it's being driven by this next generation of consumer who is really demanding that the places where they're choosing to use their dollars are organizations that are mindful of waste,
Mhm.
mindful of where their products are coming from, how they're manufactured, and all those sort of things. So you see a lot of movement towards how to be more sustainable in a piece so that you can really talk about your restaurant location or your restaurant as being better for the environment in that sense, right? I think there's a lot of worry out there about the waste that can happen in food service. And so a lot of these products that are shown through KI really address some of that so that and then ultimately, I think that also helps the restaurateur save money as well. Like you reduce
Mhm.
waste, you save money. But I think the real drive is from the consumer end at this point.
And it's interesting because you talk about sustainability. Again, another future episode that's coming out. I just did an edit over the weekend. It was a company out of Europe that was talking about exactly that supply chain and how much
Yep.
waste there is in supply chain when the right product doesn't get to the right places and how much extra fuel it costs to get it back to the warehouse and back to the store. So I think it's something that all of us need to be mindful of. And for our restaurant operators out there that are listening, you absolutely need to be thinking about it. And clearly you guys are
Absolutely.
leading
Well,
it.
thinking about it and then understanding how do you implement that in different ways, right? There's the again, putting that in your kitchen and making that part of what you're doing. Some of the award recipients this year, we're seeing that they use a lot of different types of parts that reduce plastic waste. So even the machines themselves are more sustainably made than perhaps they were at one time. Then it's like how and when are you supposed to talk about that? Because there's an art to the marketing of that as well. And so some of our education sessions at the show address those type of things, right? How do you talk about the different types of things that you're doing in your business so that your consumer knows that you're doing them and that you're sincere about them as well?
I love your point. It's better for the world
Yep,
and it's better for the consumer, and ultimately it's better for the restaurant. So if you're gonna hit
exactly.
all 3 of those factors, If the
Yeah.
restaurant's making more money and the consumer's happier and the world is a better place because of it, you absolutely should be considering it. And I know a lot of people use this show as a discovery mechanism to figure out things that they don't know about that
Yep.
are out in the world. You and I were talking about the show that you listen to. You're like, I didn't even know that such a thing
I
existed. It's
know,
so
right?
cool. The next one that's on our list is TrueIce. Talk to me a
Yep.
little bit about what is TrueIce and what problem are they solving? Because an ice maker is an ice maker. Most people would think an ice maker is an ice maker, and I know that's not
Yep.
true. But talk to me a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, so this has a really significant piece, that is really about the insulation to the ice maker that prevents mold so that it's ultimately better food safety, and it's doing all of this while being Energy Star rated. It's like the highest level. So it's like, how do you not only have this machine that's operating really efficiently, that's the sustainability aspect of it, but it's also just a darn good machine, right? Like
Mhm.
it's keeping the ice fresh so that you're not having to throw out any ice, you're not wasting the water. The food safety aspect of it is, a huge point to it. And so it was hitting all those buttons while being very energy efficient and that sort of thing. And when things are sealed to the most capabilities, then you don't have to worry about that energy evaporating you know,
Into the
into
back
the
of the house
space.
where the extra have it done. Well, that's I
Exactly.
it's funny because, again, we were talking about it a little bit pre-show. It's we just have an ice maker is an ice maker.
I
Like,
know.
you go and there's 4 of them, and you just pick one,
Yeah,
and the truth is these contractors, these manufacturers are constantly
yeah,
trying to innovate to try and save restaurants money, trying to help them have a better product, and ultimately, they're gonna sell a new ice maker because of
yeah.
it, which is great.
And ice can be so important to the presentation of a drink as well, right? And so how that ice is maintained, how it's produced, gets into that end product, which is in the end at your consumer level as well. And yeah, that's the type of stuff I love when I listen to the judges because they're so mindful of all of that. And they'll talk about a machine and a piece of equipment end to end from the moment it's installed, how it interacts through everything in the back of the house, in the kitchen, to ultimately what gets served on the consumer's plate.
That's amazing. That's really cool. I know you guys have often, and again, I've been to the show dozens of times, if not, I don't know, lots of times I've been. I haven't been in the space for close to 30 years. I've been a
Yep.
lot of times to Chicago, which is awesome.
Good, I love
Lots
to
of
hear it.
lots of fond memories of the show. One of the things that I know you guys like to do is you guys will bring in industry experts, celebrity chefs to showcase things. Talk to me a little bit about again, I'm now somebody that's going to go to the show. How do I learn about those things and what types of things would I see if I were to
Sure.
see this on the billboard, if I were to see this in the app? Talk to me a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah. So we have really education threaded throughout the show floor. People always talk about what are the reasons why someone might go to a trade show. Ultimately, the reason why someone comes to a trade show is to see new products, to see what's new. And what we like to do is weave that new product, new freshness into our education program as well. So in each of our exhibit halls, we have education stages or demo areas. So in the South building, there is the Kitchen Innovations area, which is a showroom that has that. And right adjacent to Kitchen Innovations is our Discovery Theater that houses a variety of education topics, primarily ones that are led by our exhibitors. Really, it could range from topics that have to do with different POS systems or different ways to create efficiencies in your inventory management. They're not sales pitches. We take great care with our exhibitor community that it's really about the content that they bring to the table. So that's really runs the gamut in terms of topics. We have another theater over in our North building, which is the Innovation Theater. That does tend to be a little bit more tech oriented, but again, it's really about anything that's innovative in the industry. And then over in our Lakeside Center, you see a lot of culinary topics. We have our culinary experience stage, which is primarily our celebrated chefs, celebrity chefs are doing demos over there, as well as other trends and culinary topics. And our beverage room stage is over there as well, which is really any topic that's related to the business behind the bar. So some mixology things and demos, but also really about the business of the bar and how to use that to advance your overall check averages and things of that sort. So all of that is available on our website to take a look at the schedule. So we have a tool called the Show to Go. which is little play on words like to go,
Mm,
prominent in the restaurant industry. But that you can look at all of the different exhibitors that we have, browse their profiles, connect with them. And it also goes over all of our education programming. So you can take a look at the different tracks that we have that have to do with marketing or operations. Workforce development is a huge one. Labor is the hottest topic in the industry and has been for a while now. It doesn't
mhm,
seem like that one's going away from a topic standpoint. Tons of really important, I think, topics related to that. And this year, we actually have one new type of education track that we are offering. We've had education offered on our show floor for a number of years, and we are launching education upstairs in meeting rooms as well this year for those that are looking for some deep dives on topics. So all of that education upstairs in our meeting room is with our Expo Plus education badge. That's operator led. So that's really operator information by operators and brought to you by people living and breathing it every day. And so just really excited about that. That's a new part to our show this year that we haven't done. And right now it's just the schedule is pretty full. So
mhm.
I can't even, I think we have like over it's definitely over 100 education sessions happening at the show this year overall, and just really hitting on all those important topics. We were actually just talking about a topic the other day, which I'm excited about. It's in our Expo Plus education area, but it has to do with cybersecurity at your restaurant because
Mhm.
one of the things that we see a lot of, especially independent restaurateurs, they're really relying on their software partners for that security, right? They
Yep.
don't have the staff to do that security on their own. And there are risks in that. And so, how do you protect yourself when you don't have a CIO on staff
Yep.
who's taking a look at all of that? And so, I think it's going to be a really great and timely session for people to be able to take a lot of away from.
I love that. And again, for the 1% of the people that haven't been to the show, just I wanna roll it back. Lisa talked about 3 different show floors that they've got
Yes.
going on. And so if you're planning on going, don't plan on going for 90 minutes and hoping
Right.
to see the whole show. It's look at the agenda, there's tons going on. You talked about labor. Labor is a huge problem. Talk to
Yeah.
me about Apex, and I'm familiar with them. They've actually talked about being on the show. Haven't been able to figure it out in timing quite yet because I think they've got some really cool stuff. And I think more and more people as consumers, you talk about the next generation of consumers, they're okay going to a kiosk. They're okay to go into a food locker.
Yep.
Talk to me about what Apex does and why they won an award kind of back to kitchen innovations because
Yeah.
I think it's a
Yeah.
cool story.
This one's a cool story. So this one's really their exterior smart food locker, and it's making that leap from the through the wall ordering pickup to really this system that allows the food to be kept at that kind of perfect temperature, right? And you think about sometimes with food pickup, and certainly as we've come out of the pandemic with all of the pickup and third party delivery and things like that, and things don't always arrive at your door as fresh as you would like it to. And so these food lockers are really able to keep that temperature and hold it against a whole variety of different type of weather scenarios, right? So it's like one of those things where it could be like a blizzard outside and the food is still perfectly warm, piping hot. And I think certainly there are tons of applications for this. You see it a lot at college and universities and things like that, where you've got people coming from all over. The team at Apex, excuse me. And so it gives you, I think the other piece to this product is really about the data and insights
Mhm.
that they get back from the locker systems so that you can tweak and keep your product even fresh as you. But back to the Apex system, it's really about not only its impressive technology in terms of temperature control, but really again about that data you get back that helps you optimize your labor and all of that. So it's a cool product.
Well, and the other thing that ironically, I was talking to a customer just the other day who has a very busy bakery, restaurant, cafe, and they were talking about just how they are struggling because they're so busy. They're so busy. They've been struggling with guests showing up. They say that food needs to be ready at 1 o'clock, and the guests will show up at 12:30, or the guests will show up at 1:30, and they're struggling to how do they hold the food? How do they deal with operational things? I know the guys at Apex, and there's also the old adage, hot food hot, cold food cold. Need to make sure you do that because that's the bare minimum on takeout. And the number one complaint we continue to get from restaurant brands as more and more of their product has gone out the door is the food wasn't hot anymore. The salad was, had been sitting in a bag with a hot pizza, and so the salad is hot or the pizza's too cold. And so across the board, people are really struggling with that. I think the guys at Apex have figured it out.
I think so too. And I always, just from a consumer standpoint, I always say it's like someone can figure out how to get me my French fries still crispy, where
Mhm.
they haven't gotten mushy. They've
Yep.
won in my book.
Well, I say it all the time, and again, back to kitchen innovation, you guys have the food innovation
Yep.
area. The food purveyors continue to work on that, and the packaging purveyors continue to work on those types of things because and selfishly, I just don't order, fries for takeout
Yeah.
very often because it's like, it
Right.
just
Because
doesn't work. Well, I'm a restaurant guy, and
Yep.
again, I think it's one of those things that we struggle with. Couple other products, I'm gonna dig through a couple more products. The Chef Top X Group, talk to me a little bit about what they do, because again, people are using the show as discovery, whether they
Yep.
can get to the show or not. I literally, when you guys sent me this list, I was like, "Holy crap, I had
I
no
know.
idea how much stuff is here." And this
Yeah.
is just this year. Take the last 10 years, and it's just there's so much that's happened. So talk
Well,
to me a little bit about
exactly.
what Chef Top X is.
Yeah. So this is actually a really cool product because I think no matter what industry you're in, everyone's talking about AI these days, right? And what does those applications look like in different ways? So this is a combi that has this built-in microphone so that the machine is actually interacting with the chef by voice, right? And
Wow.
so the chef can start giving instructions to the system. The system can adjust based on what the chef's saying. It's really about optimizing the performance of what's cooking inside. So if you're cooking the pizza, it's a perfectly cooked pizza, right? But it's all that interaction of both how it adjusts and the AI learning of the machine, but really connected back to the chef themselves. It's not all just like pre-programmed stuff. So it's really neat. And I think it's going to be a big hit in the KI area this year because I think overall probably, and we started seeing it really in 2017, 2018, really that kind of time frame started marking a shift. And now we're seeing it all the time where automation and robotics have really just taken off. And especially the last 2 years, almost every type of applicant we had this year, not everyone, but almost everyone had some type of automation or robotics component to it
Mhm.
in a way that was really about solving labor challenges most of the time, but it's also just speaks to how the pieces of equipment are evolving, right? It's not really just about the nuts and bolts of a machine. It's really the technology systems and what's driving the machine is much different than it used to be.
Anybody that's ever run a restaurant knows the craziness that happens during a meal period in a rush. One of our partners, Restaurant Technologies Total Oil Management Solution, is an end to end oil management system that delivers, filters, monitors, and recycles your cooking oil, taking one of the jobs that none of your team wants to do and takes it off your hands, allowing your team members to focus on their guest. Control the kitchen chaos with uh, restaurant technologies and make your kitchen safer while maximizing your staff's time. The solution can be provided at no upfront cost. If you want to learn more, please check out rti-inc.com or call 888-796-4997.
Yeah, and I think the pace of innovation continues to grow because people
Yep.
continue to see problems and go, "How do I solve that?" Took my 16-year-old out for dinner for his birthday last night, and our dessert got delivered by a robot singing happy birthday coming through the dining room. A year ago, that probably wouldn't have happened,
Yeah.
and all my kids went wild. They were all excited that something singing happy birthday from across the restaurant, and but it was on a robot, and his ice cream got delivered via robot with a candle, which was cool. But again, these types of things, everything has digital.
Yep.
Everything has machine learning. Everything, I'm old enough to remember, and even my own kitchen right now, my stovetop is still knobs that I turn to turn on the
Yep.
gas. But the more and more new kitchen equipment, everything's plugged into the internet, everything's plugged into the cloud,
Yep.
everything's learning something new, which I love. I love that you guys continue to dig into that and see that these are the types of things that are happening out there.
Yep. Really cool.
Talking about french fries, you
Mm.
threw out french fries earlier and keeping french fries crispy, but
Yes.
part of the thing, and again, had Restaurant Technologies Inc., the oil management company, talk about things. I was at the show in NRF show, retail show in New York
New
earlier this year. I was downstairs in the food innovation area. I
Mhm.
watched them talk about robotic fryers and robotic pizza makers and all of those kind of things. One of the groups that you've been talking about is seasoning and packaging of french
Mhm.
fries. Right now, that's still a human that's doing it. Talk to me a little bit
Yep.
about what you guys are seeing in that area.
Tosa has their auto seasoning product that is a Kitchen Innovation Award recipient this year. That really has to do with getting that perfect seasoning, the robotic arm that dumps them at the perfect temperature, gets it all seasoned properly. And it really takes that sort of human error type thing out of the mix. And so it was perfectly programmed for salt weights, portion size by fry size, all of that sort of thing. And a lot of that is the consistency in product, right? So that every portion of the fries is
Awesome.
just as good, right? Just as good as the one before that. And I can move that to the pickup area. So it's ensuring that it's first in, first out. And so that there's not someone who is necessarily like picking the oldest fries or the newest first, things of that sort. It's cool. That and the Alpha Cloud Patty quality assistance
Yeah,
is another
that was gonna
one,
be my
right?
last one I was gonna throw out you because that one,
Yeah.
again, blew me away. So talk to me a little bit about the Alpha Cloud. What is patty? Are you talking about your girlfriend patty, or are we talking about
No,
hamburger
no, God,
patties?
no.
Okay,
Hamburger patties, definitely
okay.
hamburger patties. But this machine has the capability of detecting patty color and evaluating the quality of that patty in real time. So it's using the vision sensors on the machine to know that patty as perfectly cooked, that it's well done, medium, whatever the case may be, but it's using all of those sensors. So it's not just a temperature check, it's also all these other
Visual
pieces that
cues
play
and
into it, right? And it's just gonna be really cool to see it in action. A lot of times, many of our judges are able to see some of the equipment in person. Me personally, I only ever get to see them in videos until we get to
mhm,
until we get to the show. So this one is definitely one I'm interested in seeing in our showroom because I think that type of technology is fascinates me, right? Because it's like, how are you basically seeing inside?
mhm.
Like I don't get it, but and it's cool. The judges were super excited about this one.
I think across the board, it's amazing to think about. This is just people that applied this year. Like it's not like
Mhm.
they probably have been working on these things for a while, but
Yep.
they got it proof of concept to market to get it to that place, and it just sounds amazing. So for those listeners that are like, I'm sold. Lisa, tell me what I need to do. How do I learn more? How do I watch the videos? How do I get in touch? How do I get to the show? Talk to me a little bit about what should they do outside of going all over the trade show floors and checking out all of the booths and all
Yep.
of those cool things. How do they learn more just specifically about situations, get there, those kind of things?
Yep, absolutely. First of all, I hope people visit our website. So if they go to nationalrestaurantshow.com, there's a section under our celebrate area, which is kitchen innovations. So that area really goes over. We have a dedicated section of the website that has profiles of each one of the award recipients. So this year we have 25 pieces of equipment that were awarded. For context, this is the 20th anniversary, and we've had 25 award recipients 3 times in our history. It's the most we've ever had. I thought maybe we are gonna tick over to 26 this year, but we didn't quite make it. But and there's videos and pictures and descriptions available for each one of the pieces of equipment. And then when you do come to the show, we have a special area on our show floor in the south building called Kitchen Innovation Showroom. And all 25 pieces of equipment will be there. So you can take a look at each one side by side, really peruse all of that award winning technology and equipment just right in one spot. And so I always try to make a beeline to it, get past all the booths in the front right away and go straight up
Go
to
check it out.
KI, just right through the entrance of the show to the back part of the hall there. It's going to be cool. It's a new design this year for us. So just nice open area where you can take a look. But we called it a showroom because that's really what it is, right? It's a bunch of equipment all next to each other, and they've got representatives from each of the companies there to talk about it. And then we also have an education session happening at the show this year. I believe it's on the Sunday of the event, but it's our KI judges are on a panel talking about some of the innovation that they were taking a look at and really their thoughts on what's coming down the pike for the future of back of house.
That to me is a must see because at the end of the day, those people are going to go, this is where I see it going. And you've got to be looking out. And again, part of the reason why they come to the show. For those listeners that may be wanting to apply for this award next year, can you tell me a little bit more? Because again, we have a lot of people that are innovating
Yeah.
tech that are doing different things.
Yeah.
How can they get involved in this in 2025 and beyond?
Yeah. We typically do a call for applications in the October timeframe each year, with applications being due in December. And so then the judging takes place kind of January through whenever we make the announcement, depending on how long that judging process takes. We typically announce on the February or March timeframe. So it's a pretty lengthy process. The applications are pretty robust. You have to be in market or plan to be in market with your piece of equipment by the time the show comes around.
Okay.
So you want it to be new, but you also want it to be available. So it's a kind of about that two pieces: innovation, but it's also, I want to be able to buy that
Mhm.
innovation, that
I
sort of
love
thing.
that.
Uh,
It's funny that you say that because at NRF, I was talking to one of the sales reps and he's, yeah, I don't go to the show anymore because this company always just sells a bunch of stuff that's not really going to be ready for 18 more months. So I love that you guys force them to
yeah,
say, I can, I can already order one. It might be on 12-week, 18-week lead
right.
time, but
Yeah,
still I can order one. I can see how this might fit. I can start to work on my blueprints. I can start to work on my electricity, all of those kind of things. So I'm grateful
yeah,
that you guys do that.
yeah. And so then we have a team that can help answer any questions people have on the application process, but we require some testimonials, some different certification pieces. It depends on the type of equipment it is, but just some things that back up what the manufacturer is saying so that the application's not only marketing, it's also really the technical specs behind it and how it's working and why and what it solves and all that sort of thing. That, like I said, that application process starts in October.
Okay. So for those that are listening, you guys have got some time, a little bit of time. This episode should go live. Definitely will go live before the restaurant show, but sometime in April it should go live. And so
Yeah.
you guys have got just a few months to get it done for 2025. And I look forward to hearing more about that. Remind us of the dates of the show again. I know again, you gave everybody dates at the time of this recording. You keep
I
you
know.
probably
I
have
keep my
hours.
day count, number of hours. I know it's 800 some hours. It's a May 18th through the 21st at McCormick Place in Chicago. I always say we've been in the same date pattern for any number of years. So it's always the weekend before Memorial Day weekend. But just really excited to be returning to our home here in Chicago. Again, we've been in Chicago consecutively since 1950. So it really is, really the home of the restaurant show. And it's such a great restaurant town and lots to do. I'm sure there's so much going on in town that I don't even know about
Mhm.
that our exhibiting partners throw parties and networking events and taking clients out. And it's just a good time had by all. So
And so I'm gonna have you read the ad that just says, you know what, I know you guys are offering our listeners money off of the show if they haven't already registered. How can they get a discount code after they listen to the
yeah,
show? And they're like, you know what, I gotta go.
absolutely.
I gotta meet this Lisa lady. I gotta figure out if she's
I'll
not
be
in
around.
a room with padded
Yeah.
walls by that point.
I do
Um,
try to hide in my office. No, I'm kidding. I don't. I like to be out there experiencing it. But we hope to see you all at the restaurant show this year. So to register, you just need to go to nationalrestaurantshow.com. You click on our registration links. And as you go through the process, use the code podcast24. And that'll give you $55 off our current rate at the time that you register. So it's a great deal. And that promo expires May 16th, though. So time is of the essence for sure.
I love it. Lisa, thank you for educating me. Thank you for educating our listeners. I'm certain it's going to be a great show. Every time I've ever been, it's been amazing. So thank you for coming on. To our listeners, guys, like I said, I know you guys have got lots of choices. So thank you guys for spending time with us this week and make it a great day.